Hi everyone, this is Danielle Miller, and I am so delighted to welcome you today to the Be the You Factor in Your Brand, not the X Factor webinar. Full disclosure, this is the first time I'm using this platform, so we'll see how my technophobe nature handles this. I'm so really delighted that you're here, and I am, in case you don't know, I am a brand nurturer and brand strategist for women entrepreneurs and startups who really want to stand out and get recognized and remembered for the work that they do. So I'm going to click on the presentation, the slideshow that I have for you. I'm going to go through that. I'd love for you to stick with me till the very end. I've got a little something for you that I think you'll get a lot of value out of. It's something that's very complementary to what I'm going to talk about today. Also, in full disclosure, I have a four-legged assistant with me in the office. So if you hear a little snore or something, she, I don't know, tends to take a siesta in the middle of the afternoon. She has quite the job. Or she may bark a little bit on occasion. That happens too. But it's more, I'd rather have her here in with me than not, because that's usually more of a problem. So, all right. So that, with that taken care of, let's get started today. All right, so you are here today for the Be the You Factor in your brand, not the X Factor, which is about boosting your brand, establishing your expertise, and daring to be different. Okay. So the first things first, welcome to the webinar. Let me show you around a little bit. There's a chat box there. If you have any questions during anything that I go over today, please put your questions in the chat box and I will answer them at the end of the webinar. I've left some time in there to do that in case there were things that you had questions about, things that you wanted further clarification on. I'm happy to stick around and answer any questions that you have around you and your brand. As I said before, this is a brand new platform that I'm using. I've never used it until now. This is the first webinar I'm doing with Webinar Ninja. And so I have to tell you that if there's any glitches, it's probably the operator's fault and not the operation itself. So I tend to shy away from technology, and I have decided this year that that is not going to happen anymore. I'm diving in and really embracing the power of using webinars to expand on my message. So this training is for you if you're confused around brand and branding and marketing. Most people think it's all the same, right? The truth of the matter is they're all extremely different concepts, extremely different entities, although they all work together. And it's very important that you get these things right as you start thinking about how you want to put yourself and your brand out there in the world. If you have spent much of your time worrying about things like your website and logos and colors and fonts, but you still don't have the results that you want in your business, this is a good training for you, because you're going to get some clarity around those things and stop doing things that I call moving the furniture around in your business and tweaking and looking at things from the outside rather than the inside in your business. If you're not sure how to have a brand that gets recognized and remembered, we're going to talk about that a little bit in this webinar today. And I think you'll come away with some really great nuggets that will help you and get you to a place where you are being recognized, where you are being remembered for your work, and where you are standing out and being differentiated from everyone else out there. If you're not attracting the ideal clients you want to work with, this is a great training for you, because I'm going to talk about some of the ways that you can start attracting ideal clients. So some of the ways that you can really start working more with those dream boat clients that you want to have in your business and have as clients working for you, with you around your particular area of expertise. If your income is not reflecting the value that you bring to the table, this is such a huge challenge for entrepreneurs. They oftentimes undervalue what they do and how they make a difference in the work that they do for their ideal clients. And really getting clear on your brand is the absolute quickest way to start having the revenue that you want in your business. So if any of those things apply to you, you are absolutely in the right spot today, and I am so glad that you're here. So who is this chick anyway? So that's a picture of me. And one thing, if you are familiar with me at all on social media, I tend to talk a lot about bacon. It's kind of a joke. I had somebody once ask me a few years ago if I put bacon in everything. And no, I don't quite put it in everything, but it does go in a lot of the food that I make. And I saw this little sign one day and I thought it was really cute and very representative of who I am. So that's what the I love you more than bacon sign is about. I have many roles. I am known by many roles in my life. The first one and most important one being a mom to 3 children, adult children. I am also a GG now to the most adorable grandson in the world. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I am a teacher. I'm a mentor. I am a brand strategist. I'm a speaker. You can see me there in the middle and the end in the orange dress. I was a speaker at the National Association of Professional Women's Conference 2 years ago and had the most fantastic experience there. It was just really such an awesome venue, and I got to talk to over 500 women, and it was amazing. And so I speak about branding in the digital age. I speak about the power of it and how it can help you get from where you are to where you want to go. And this year, I also published my first book, and it's called Smarty Pants Branding. It was a bestseller on Amazon for almost a week. It continues to rank up there in the top 10 in branding and logos design categories, which I'm thrilled about. So there's a little bit of a funny story about this book too, because when I was writing it and I had the title very solidly in place, I knew what I wanted to call it. It was really sort of a play on being a smarty pants and the whole idea of really owning who you are and not being afraid to show that. And the original title or the subtitle that went with that was The Bottom Line Guide to Getting Recognized, Being Remembered, and Making More Money in Your Business. And so when the book was published, my publisher called me and she said, or she emailed me and she said, I do not understand why your book is ranking #1 in accounting. She's like, I cannot figure this out. And if you know anything about me at all, more than being a technophobe, I'm also kind of a numbers phobe, and math is not my strong suit. So it was really funny that the book kept showing up so prominently in the accounting section of Amazon. And what we finally discovered was that in the subtitle itself, it says the bottom line. Well, the bottom line, relates to numbers and accounting and that kind of thing. So we had to change the subtitle to The Ultimate Guide to Getting Recognized, Being Remembered, and Making Money in Your Business. So kind of funny. That book's available on Amazon. If you're looking for a little reading material this weekend, you can pick it up and peruse it and take some pretty solid branding concepts away with you to help you with your branding and having your brand stand out the way you want it to. I'm gonna grab a quick drink here. So I like to start out teaching with a question or an icebreaker, something to kind of get you thinking about what you're going to hear and putting you in sort of this open mind, beginner's mindset. I think it's so beneficial no matter where you are in your journey, whenever you're putting yourself in the position to learn and to go into it with that beginner's mind and to try to look at things from a new perspective or a different perspective. I find it so valuable and so helpful to really enter into a learning experience that way. So my question for you today is, what thought or message would you want to put in a fortune cookie? And again, full disclosure, my husband and I had Chinese food last night, and we were opening the fortune cookies, and they were kind of silly. And I got to thinking about, if you had to boil your message down into a slip of paper that went inside a fortune cookie, what would it say? What is the message that you would want to put out there? And, again, with the understanding that it's got to be very concise, it's got to be all encompassing of your vision, of your platform, and of what you want to put out in the world. So how would you do that? What would you say? So that's something to ponder, to think about as you think about your brand, because really that's one of the core elements in the branding process, is getting clear on your message and having it resonate with your right people. So I want to start talking about what exactly a brand is, because there's so many misconceptions and myths out there. And I find time and time again, the clients that I work with have started out focusing on the wrong things in their business and with their brand. And a brand is, the most popular misconception about a brand is that it is your logo, and it's your tagline, and it's the colors and fonts that you have on your website. And that is a part of it, absolutely. And it is a very important part of it. But underneath that piece of it, a brand is a set of managed expectations around who you are and what you do. And you are the one who manages that. So it's critical that you get crystal clear clarity around those expectations that you have for yourself, for your business, for who you are, what you do, how you show up, and why you show up. It is your reputation, it is your credibility, and it is the story that you tell. It's how you think of yourself and how others perceive you, how you want others to perceive you. There's this saying around branding that your brand is not what you say it is, it's what others say it is. And that's true to a point. But here's the thing. If you are managing the conversation, then you are managing what people are saying about your brand. So to some degree, that's true, that it is what other people say about you and your brand, but you manage that conversation. You start the conversation and you direct it where you want it to go. And the other thing that a brand is, it's the imprint that you leave behind. When you walk out of a room, if you've been to a networking event, it's what people say about you afterwards. It is the digital imprint that you leave behind in your social media posts, on your websites, in your emails, everything that you do to communicate who you are. That is the imprint that you leave behind. A brand is also a couple other things, and they're not tangible things, but they are critically important. And it's the emotional connection that you stir in others. It's how you make people feel after an interaction with you. It's also about how you want to feel yourself. How do you want to feel in your business? What are the desired feelings that you have around the work you do? And what do you want it to do for you? How do you want it to make you feel? It is also a blend of strategy and creativity. It is I think, the perfect example of left brain strategy and right brain creativity, having a resonant and aligned brand that's remembered and that stands out. It is also, at the end of the day, a reason to choose. It's a promise that you make to the world about who you are and what you do. And it gives your ideal clients, your right audience, a reason to choose you, because it's like fine-tuning your frequency, and you get that signal that's so clear that your ideal clients and right audience are drawn to it. So you have to be absolutely in alignment with your brand promise and your brand experience. So if you know anything about me at all, I like to cook, I like food, I like to throw parties, I love all of that kind of stuff. And I often relate things back to food analogies. So if you stick with me for any length of time and you come to other webinars, I highly advise you to eat before you come, because chances are you might be hungry by the end of the webinar, because I always have food pictures. So I want to talk a little bit about the difference between brand and branding and marketing, because they are all, as I said before, very different entities and different concepts around each one, although they all work together. So a brand is the inner work that you do. It is what's inside the brand. Nobody sees that. It will be manifested differently for every person, because it is about your core values. It is about your why. It is about you defining your brand experience. It's about keeping your brand promise consistently, day in and day out, and showing up. And it's about the feelings and emotions that you want to evoke. Again, it relates back to how do you want to make people feel? And so getting really, really clear on these things, the inner brand work helps everything else fall into alignment. It's almost like these levers that all click together and everything falls into place afterwards. So once you have this work done, you then move on to the branding part, which is the manifestation, how the brand shows up tangibly to the world. And those things are items like your tagline, your website, your colors, your fonts, the images you use, all the visual representations. Could be a logo. It's also the verbal identity that you have, the tone of voice you use, your personality, how that all comes across. Those all stem from that inner brand work that you do, and that's the branding piece. That's how everything comes across. And basically, it's how your brand shows up on a daily basis. And then you have the marketing. And the marketing piece is really about how you communicate what you do, how you let people know you're open for business. So those are things like advertising, promotions, email campaigns, newsletters, networking, all those type of things. That's putting yourself out there. That's putting your business out there. It's letting people know about what you do so they can get in contact with you, and you can then decide whether or not you are a good fit for each other. But once you start really putting all these pieces together, again, as I said, it fine-tunes your frequency. So hopefully that you have your ideal audience that is resonating to you, and those ideal clients are coming to you. And you can see in this picture here the cupcakes I sort of showed a progression of, that foundational cupcake, the cake itself that you've baked and you've put all these wonderful ingredients in. And then you have let me go back to that for 1 second. Then you have, how you're going to make it look pretty. How are you going to dress it up in your own unique way? The frosting, the sprinkles, all those types of things, the wrappers. And then that final piece is the marketing. So how are you going to showcase that so that people are interested and intrigued and ready to come to you for business? So I often get asked about what your brand can do for you. So, how important is it really to have a brand? It's invaluable. It helps better decision making in your business. When you get clear on your core values, it is like having a North Star in your business. It will guide every business decision that you make. You can easily decide for yourself, what type of marketing you want to do, what kinds of programs you want to not only take for yourself and your business, but what kinds of things do you want to create for your business. It will guide your philosophy around why you do what you do. It will help when you have team members and you want to create a brand culture. All of those things are driven by your brand. It also showcases your strengths and gifts in a very natural way because you're bringing everything that you have, the best of everything that you have to the table. Because branding is simply you amplified. And it's the perfect way to show what you can really do. It gives you a platform. It gives you this very firm foundation to build your business upon. It clarifies your message. You've got this important work that you want to do. You have these beliefs. As I said back earlier in the presentation, if you could take a message and put it in a fortune cookie, what would it say? You've got to be super, super clear on that and have great clarity around your message and what you deeply believe in. It gives your personality a chance to shine. That's the whole point of having a brand, right? You want to be authentic. You want to be genuine. You want to have fun. You want to show who you are. And that's really what makes those emotional connections for people, when you are able to really give your personality a chance to shine in your brand and show up every day as absolutely who you are, bringing the best that you can every day. And it also is a great way to escort the imposter out the door. So, oftentimes when we're in business, we have these blocks, we have these obstacles that we throw up for ourselves over whether or not we're worthy or we're good enough, or are we enough? Do we have enough expertise? Do we have enough of this or enough of that? And when you get really clear on that inner brand work, that imposter rarely shows up because you know your value, you know what you bring to the table, and you know how valuable that is to your ideal clients. And that is so important. That's another piece of this brand puzzle, that confidence in yourself and your abilities. That's what a brand can do for you. So what's the first thing that you have to get clear on? You have to get clear on your core values. I talked about that. Obviously, you can see this is a recurring theme throughout this webinar because it is so important. Now, the core values of your brand are things that are non-negotiable. So these are the things that day in and day out you want to have show up in your life. And I often when I talk to clients about this, I get them thinking about this by saying, what is something that really, really made you angry? What really ticked you off? Was it something somebody did around trust? Was it something that you saw somebody was disrespectful or unkind? Is not having any money? What are those things that get you really, really fired up? And chances are that is a big hint on a core value for you. And you can flip that around too. The same thing goes for what really lights you up, what really puts you in the zone, when have you felt the most happy and fulfilled in your life? What were you doing? Who were you with? Chances are, again, you've touched on a core value. So stick around with me because I have something at the end of this that's going to help you as well to get really clear on your core values and start thinking about how you want to have those in your business and show up day in and day out. And I'll tell you, in my own journey, this is why I'm so passionate about this. When I started my business, I didn't really think about core values. I mean, I knew my why. As I said at the beginning of the webinar, my family, the people in my life are a big why for me. The work I do is a big why for me because I believe it's so important. But I never really sat down and clarified what those core values were and how I defined them for myself. And that's another piece of this. As I said, those become the North Star of your brand. And it's so important to define these by what they mean to you. You think about abundance. Abundance for one person might be something completely different for somebody else. Flexibility, accountability, responsibility, all of those things are, there are degrees of them. So you've got to, once you really sit down and think about what your core values are, what exactly do they mean to you? How do you define them for yourself, for your life, and for your business? And that's that is a critical piece of the branding puzzle. So one of the ways that I work with clients is around archetypes. I use an archetypal framework that is based upon work done by Mark and Pearson and Mark, a book called The Hero and the Outlaw. And it's based on 12 archetypal stories. And basically, archetypes are a shortcut to meaning. They are a way to create emotional connections with your ideal audience in a way that they're not even conscious of. It works on a very subconscious level. And there are 12 main archetypes. And you can see I have some here. There is the alchemist. There is the angel, there's the creator, there's the heroine, there's the muse, there's the networker, there's the provocateur, there's the rebel, there's the romantic, there's the sage, there's the seeker, and there is the sovereign. And when we use those archetypes in brand work, it gives you an anchor. You know, I'm very much an individualist, and I don't like labels or boxes, or, you know, that's not what this is about at all. This is simply another lens through which to view the world, through which to view your work, and through which to connect with people. That's really all it is. And so each one of these archetypes has individual characteristics and traits and things that make it unique. And when you find yours, it can really help you start honing in on the essence of your brand. So let me back up here 1 second. So if you are an alchemist, transformation is a huge, huge concept for you. It's a huge value for you. My leading archetype is an alchemist, and transformation, I'm all about being a catalyst for change and transforming people, and, you know, having brands go from here to there. And that's so, I mean, it's important to me. And when I learned that I was an alchemist, and this was about 2010, when I really started reading everything that I could about the archetypal framework and how it worked. And it so resonated with me that I have probably read every research paper done on it, and books and all that kind of thing, to learn as much as I can about the subject. But when you can really hone in on that leading archetype, it helps you figure out your message so much more clearly. I really struggled in my business until I learned about my leading archetype, and I discovered that what really lights me up is transformation. And I can lead from that place and really affect change and really attract the right people to me. So as I said, the alchemist is about transformation. The angel is about caring and compassion. The creator, obviously, you can see by that great picture, is all about creativity and innovation. And the heroine is all about rescue and saving people, and wanting to lead by example. The muse is about inspiration and motivation. The networker is all about community and collaboration and belonging and fitting in. And then we have the provocateur, also known as the jester or entertainer, and that's the live in the moment archetype, the fun archetype, the one who wants to have a good time, the one who's finding the funny in everything, the humorous in everything. And then that little flower all by itself, that's the rebel. And the rebel is obviously the one who, the nonconformist, the one who is all about independence and doing things their own way. And then that sort of filtered flower there, that represents the romantic. And that archetype is all about love and feeling valued and needed. And then we have the sage. The sage is the teacher archetype, and that archetype values wisdom and knowledge and sharing that with the world. And the little stopwatch there, that's the seeker. And the seeker loves exploration and charting new territories and finding out what's over the next horizon. And that's what really lights them up. And then finally, we have the sovereign. And the sovereign archetype is all about leadership and responsibility and coming from a place of authority. So when you start thinking about the viewpoint and the perspective of your brand, these are so helpful because they can really give life to maybe what you're struggling to put into words, what you're trying to figure out for yourself about your brand. So you can find your leading archetype on my website at daniellemiller.com/quiz. It's absolutely free. You do not even need to opt in to learn your leading archetype. You can take the quiz, you can learn your leading archetype, and you can go on your merry way. However, of course, if you'd like to find out some more detailed information about your archetype, you can put your email address in and I will send you a detailed PDF that talks about the strengths of your archetype, key language, the shadow of your archetype, and how that may be holding you back in some ways. It'll give you some examples. It will give you some ideas for seeing your brand in action using that archetype. It's a pretty in-depth PDF, and you'll get one customized to your leading archetype. So you can get that. I want to just give you a little example here of a client that I worked with, and before she had known about archetypes, before we did all that inner work on her brand. So this client, Amy, was an online bookkeeper, and this was her website before, and you can see it's pretty generic. It doesn't really tell a lot about who she is or what she does. And she actually one of the goals for her coming to me about her brand was she wants to be known as more than a bookkeeper because she does so much more for her clients. And one of the things that we talked about was the fact that, she sees her clients as rock stars, and that everything, she's sort of that behind the scenes manager who takes over all of those minutia and those details for her clients so they can go out and be the rock stars that they are. So in getting that essence down and doing all this work, this was the after of her website, and you can see we called it, we came up with the entrepreneur's anthem, and her tagline was, crank your profits, ditch your worry, rock your biz. And it absolutely fit her personality to a T. She's funny, she's so smart, she's a little edgy, quirky, and so we created this website built around what she really wanted to have her brand show up as. And then there's another, this is at the bottom page of her website, and the crowd goes wild. So, she encapsulated the work that she does. She went from being a bookkeeper to being an online business manager for entrepreneurs. And, we took this whole idea of her thinking about her clients as rock stars and what her personality was. And we created this amazing brand that truly represents who she is and how she wants to show up in the world. And as I said before, your brand is you amplified. And as you grow and evolve, so will your brand. That's one thing that I often hear clients come to me and they'll say, well, I need to rebrand. Do I get rid of everything and start over? Not necessarily. No, you don't necessarily have to. Each individual is different, and so it will depend on your circumstances. But know that a brand is dynamic. It's not a static thing. Once you get clear on some things and your business grows, you're going to grow and change too, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's simply an evolution as to how you want to show up and how you want to stand out. And honestly, the only way to get clarity around that is to start doing, is to start taking action, is to start showing up, and then you will continually fine-tune that frequency. And it's not something to hide behind. A brand is not a logo for you to hide behind. It's you front and center. People in the digital age want to connect with people. They do not want to be part of a target market or a company's audience that they get shuffled from, they're not really heard. They want to be validated. They want you to connect with them. So what's next? Well, if you are interested in the information today, I would love for you to book a brand discovery strategy session with me, and we will talk about your brand and where it is right now and what things you'd like to see happen in your brand, what challenges you have, and how you can move forward in your branding efforts to make your brand as genuine and true to who you are as possible. So you can go here to my website at daniellemiller.com/brand-discovery-session, and you'll get a short little form that's there. And once you fill that out, you'll be directed to my calendar to set up a 30-minute time to chat. And that's all we're going to do. We're just going to chat. I want to know where you are in your business, what your goals are, what your mission is, and how I can help you and give you some strategic steps that you can walk away from to start implementing right away with your brand. And as I said, any good hostess always has a gift. So I have a gift for you today, and that is the Core Values Exercise Playbook that I have. And this is an exercise that I do with every client that I work with, and you can get that today, and it will help give you some insight on how you go about clarifying your core values, how you set up that process of prioritizing your core values. If you've looked at the list, there's a list there that has over 100 core values on it, not core values, but just values in general, and how you go about figuring out which ones are the most resonant for you and how you can start narrowing it down and really getting clear on those most important core values that you want as a part of your brand every single day. So I want to thank you so much for coming today and hanging out with me. I love talking about this stuff, and I love talking to entrepreneurs about their brand and how it's showing up for them. And so I'm looking forward to the next webinar. It's probably going to be about in a week and a half. I'm going to do another one because I'm so jazzed about this. I'm really loving it. So I hope that you enjoyed it today. I hope that it was valuable for you, and I'm looking forward to talking with you again soon. I'm going to close out the slide presentation and head over to the chat box to see if you have any questions for me. So we're going to stop sharing that. Okay. All righty. Oh, everybody's so quiet today. Okay, so I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me on today's webinar, and I'm looking forward to talking with you again soon. So be yourself, be your brand, be really you. Till next time, bye.